Okay, so let's talk about the scratch kit on the iPhone 17 Pro lineup, which is not happening on the standard model though. And there are so many things happening with the iPhone 17 Pro. Some people are saying this is more damage prone, it can bend easily. Okay, I will clarify all of those things here in this video. So first and foremost thing, the iPhone XR to iPhone 17 all the way, all the standard phones always had aluminum frames at the sides. Now aluminum frame also means that it is aluminum from the sides as well as from the inside it's aluminum. Whereas if you look at the titanium ones like the 15 Pro or the 16 Pro models, they have titanium fused with aluminum. So the inside was still aluminum, but the outside was mostly titanium. That's why they were built like tanks, but only from the sides. This time though, the whole phone, the 17 Pro I'm talking about, or even the Pro Max, is made out of a single block of aluminum. So it's the CNC machine that is doing all the jobs to make space for the cameras, the motherboard, the battery, the chargings, and all, even the rear glass portion thing. But the point is, this all has been done from a single block of aluminum. Now, this process of the CNC process is much more easier, and also coloring it is much more easier compared to titanium. People might say that this is the reason why Apple went in the direction. No, it's not. They have another reason. I mean, aluminum is much more better at heat dissipation, which if you look at the Pro phones of the past two models at the very least, were crazy hot when you push them. Like the 16 Pro is something that I have, and I can say that it's crazy hot when you push it, like so much hot. That's not the story that will be repeated with the iPhone 17 Pro. At least that's what Apple is claiming, because of the aluminum chassis, and the whole phone is made out of aluminum because it will dissipate the heat better, which is understandable. But then there is a problem. Now certain people are actually rocking this phone naked without any case. I actually love that too, but the problem is with the modern phones with the glass sandwich, like front and back glass, and the sides are just only metal. We have a problem that the glass can shatter easily. That's why we are so accustomed to the cases. In the past, when we had metal phones, like fully metal, like HTC One M8 or the iPhone 6s, people used to rock the phones without any cases. I do have iPhone 6. It doesn't work anymore, but it's still in pristine condition because of metal, and I have never used a case on it. So on the aluminum based phones, which you have the most amount of parts are made out of aluminum, the fear of getting it shattered is much less because it won't shatter. The glass area, because of the camera bump, might not even shatter on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Mostly, but you can't really drop test and say it clearly, because in real life when the phone is dropped unknowingly, you can't really predict the surface, so that can or might not damage the rear glass, but the aluminum part of it will actually absorb this better than the glass, but it's not as good as the titanium. So the scuffs, the dents will be even more visible than it was on the stainless steel models, the 14 Pro, 11 Pro, 10, or the titanium models, the 15 Pro, 16 Pro models. So that is something that you have to bear with if you rock the phone naked, because if you drop it, the scuffs, the dents are going to be much more prominent and much more visible than they were on the older Pro models. If you look at the phone buffs video, it's very clear. The Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra's titanium frame wasn't even bent. It didn't even saw that much scuffs and all those things as the iPhone 17 Pro, because aluminum is softer, much softer. But then many people are saying that this phone also can get bent easily. I mean, if you look at the Jerry Riggs video, it wasn't the case. And if you are talking about it, then so many people are using 10R, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and all of them has the aluminum side frames and aluminum inside, and they don't bend either. So the bending theory on the 17 Pro and Pro Max is hard to believe. So it's somewhat deliberately been done. Otherwise, it shouldn't happen at all. Just because it's aluminum doesn't mean it will bend that way. Currently, a lot of people are doing drop test and scratch test on the iPhone 17 Pro, so that's why we have these kind of results where the phone is almost bent. Sometimes it's snapped off, and mostly that will happen if you push it to that limit, and the weaker parts are actually where the switches are and also the enter lines, so it will definitely break at those joints. So but then the problem is actually not there, it's actually the scratch kit, and that's actually a concerning thing. It's not like if you put a case on it won't scratch at all, like many people are saying it, but whatever the case you use, there will be dust inside the case all the time. Like you open the phone, the certain dust will get inside it, put the case back on. Maybe they won't scratch it that badly if you rock the phone naked, but it will still scratch it. Now let's talk about why not all the places will get scratched up, but certain places will definitely. there is a big difference between anodization and painting on aluminum, and iPhones usually comes with anodized color options. So if you don't know, the iPhone frames from the older models to the newer models are usually anodized, not painted on. So it's not coloring, but anodization and painting are two distinct processes for enhancing and protecting the aluminum surfaces. Anodization is actually an electrochemical process that converts the aluminum surface into a durable, corrosion-resistant layer. To anodize aluminum, the metal is submerged into an electrolyte bath and then an electric current is passed through it. So that's a heavy process. And then the anodized layer is formed by the oxidation of the aluminum surface, which creates a porous structure that can be dyed to achieve that different kind of color shades. That's why we have that bright orange color on the Pro models. So the color process looks like this. First, there is a pre-treatment, the cleaning and etching this aluminum surface, and then creating the porous oxide layer, and then dyeing it, which is immersing the anodized aluminum in a dye bath to achieve that desired color option. And then there is the sealing. The sealing is like the pores. There are going to be pores that are not fixed, so they will fix it and enhance that whole durability thing as well. But the problem starts when there is a sharp edge, because anodized coatings can be thinner on the sharp edges, reducing their durability as well as increasing the likelihood of chipping, and that's what we are seeing. Now, sharp edges also can disrupt the anodization process, leading to that uneven coating thickness and reduce adhesion. Paint doesn't stick to it that well. And then the sharp edges are also more prone to mechanical stress, like I'm talking about this impact and abrasions, which can also cause chipping. So what I'm trying to say is that the sharp edge design around that camera hump is actually the wrong choice here. If you look at it from the microscopic perspective, thanks to jerry-rig everything, you have the answer. And this is a big problem. Why I'm saying it, because if you rock it naked, then after a certain amount of wear and tear, the whole sharp edges will be in white or aluminum color, let's call it silver colored, rather than the blue or the orange color that you're buying for the Pro models. In the orange color, it might not be as much visible, but on the blue model, which is much more darker color, it's gonna be crazy visible. So the better option is currently, if you really want to buy the Pro, buy a different colored case, but buy the silver colored iPhone 17 Pro or the Pro Max, whatever you prefer. And it won't be noticeable by everyone. And because of this anodization coating, the other part of the phone, like whereas there is a smooth surface, a flat surface or rounded edges, there you won't have this problem at all, like the phone side frames. Unless you dent it, being aluminum a softer material, you can chip off that part of the aluminum where it is sticking to. The rest of the aluminum is actually going to be silver colored, so they will come out. And that's why we have this kind of scuffing problems on most of the phones that are made out of aluminum. But it's just aesthetic that is gonna get bad on this thing, so it will look really ugly. So that's the thing. Now, the painting on this aluminum is just purely applying a layer of paint on the surface or using various techniques. But the paint can easily chip off or flake over time because it is not sticking with the aluminum at all. And it's not fixable at all. It's a hardware level thing that Apple can't just recall and do the thing anymore. So I hope in the next iteration with the iPhone 18 Pro, Pro Max, they will definitely fix this thing. I'm not trying to defend Apple here. I'm just trying to say what actually scientifically is true. But that clearly doesn't mean Apple hasn't done any mistakes. If you look at the antenna lines going around the camera bump is also another mistake, because it's still plastic, it can get scratched up and it can also attract dirt to make it look ugly over time. It's possible. People are always seeing it. Camera hump edges are not rounded. That's another problem. So yeah, I'm not saying Apple hasn't done anything wrong, but I'm just saying it. This is possible. Even if people are talking about how the rear glass is getting scratched up easily, it was possible on the older models too. But can I say Apple has used cheaper glass to do that? Probably, maybe, I don't know. But I'm just saying it, this is normal for every glass made phones with frosted back, or it is also possible for every single phone that has aluminum side frames.
And yes, if you want, you can get some crazy cool wallpapers up on my website, a link down below. Until the next one, bye and take care.